Released May 7th, 2021 for the Quest 2 and March 8th, 2022 for PC VR by developer and publisher Pixel Toys Games. Warhammer 40k Battle Sister has quickly shot up there as my favorite VR Quest 2 game. This may change, as the Quest keeps rolling out great titles on a regular basis, but Battle Sister certainly made my year so far.
Apologies. Force of habit.
I watched reviews before grabbing this, which all painted a picture of mediocrity. Why? Perhaps these reviewers didn't play much of it, or perhaps it was a janky, buggy mess on release. But this is why you should exercise critical thinking and independent thought. No matter what we tell you as reviewers, it's either our personal opinions or we're shills paid to put out a fluff piece. Now, while I've never been a part of the latter, I can confirm the former. All my reviews are my personal opinions, whether a dev or publisher gives the game to me or I buy it. Now with that spiel out of the way, let's get to my review of this epic Warhammer entry.
Very noble.
In an era of galactic darkness, there is only war. Dark forces, cultists, treacherous space marines, demons, and other foul abominations spread chaos to all. You are a part of an elite sisterhood, the Adepta Sororitas, the Battle Sisters. War, strife, and chaos is the general nature of the Warhammer universe, but here in Battle Sister, while the seemingly eternal war wages on, you are caught up in a more personal story. One which you hold firm will not sway your allegiance or compromise your mission, but it weighs heavily on you nonetheless. You have been told by your higher-ups that your sister, Leonora, perished, but shortly after this story begins, a new truth begins to unravel.
Listen! She is alive.
In this installment, you track down a new threat, Kalidorus, a mysterious antagonist who seems to know more than he should.
How did it feel to be torn apart from her, given a new sisterhood in service of slavery?
You will not corrupt me. Amorte perpetua domina libra nos.
The story of Battle Sister gave me more than I bargained for. It exceeded my expectations with a masterfully crafted narrative, one which ended up being a bit of a twister. I'm usually able to predict the stories of video games and movies with relative ease, but Battle Sister certainly had me looking in the wrong direction the entire way through.
We are alone, and this endless war strips us of any attachments to anything or anyone. When we fall, others will step up and take our place, and they will fall. What is the point?
Whether you're into the Warhammer franchise and the lore or not, whether this is the first Warhammer game you've ever played, or like me your second go, if you're into interesting stories in an action game, you may be into this. Also, VR adds to the immersion. I've played only one other game in the Warhammer 40k franchise, Age of Sigmar, Tempest Fall. Another good VR entry, which again I gave praises while others didn't. And though I thoroughly enjoyed Tempest Fall and its story, Battle Sister raised the standards. In my review of Age of Sigmar I said, I'd love to delve deeper into the Warhammer universe, and I did. And now I'm saying, after playing through Battle Sister, I feel compelled to keep going. This was a masterfully executed story.
Mr. Ophelia, Inquisitor Malachi.
Inquisitor? This is a most unexpected honor.
We must speak of Leonora.
My sister died 10 years ago.
So you were told. And the necessary lie.
The visuals here are perhaps the best I've seen on the Quest so far. It's even better than some PSVR and PC VR games I've played. Pixel Toys certainly went above and beyond the call to ensure greatness. And this isn't a new game either, but the visuals here are impressive, highly detailed.
This weapon has bored a hole through the skulls of many a heretic. I will avenge you with this, Viola.
There was some clipping, but where it really mattered, there was none, or an unnoticeable amount. Collision detection was handled with care. You couldn't knock your weapons together and see them pass through each other like they were holograms. If you make contact with another object, one of your allies, it made a difference. Again, I'm not saying it was perfect, but for an independent game studio, Pixel Toys' high ambitions are apparent. They add a AAA touch to their projects unlike many others, and it is worthy of commendation.
We need to regroup.
Scanning. Found you. You're about 2 miles south of my position.
Now, while the backgrounds, particularly outdoor levels in daylight, didn't look mind-blowing by any stretch, the details in your weapons, items you interacted with, certainly caught my attention. The weapon detail is remarkable, your character's hands, even her body, smooth, detailed, and crisp.
I'm afraid you are too late.
There are also no standard cutscenes in Battle Sister. By standard I mean what we're accustomed to in flat games, cinematic cutscenes. All cutscenes are seamlessly a part of the gameplay. Some you're unable to move while they're happening, but still, it's what you see is what you get. The same visuals you have in-game are the same visuals you experience when there's a break for any kind of dialogue, flashback, and so on. And they look beautiful in the headset.
For all the sisters perished by their hand, all shall burn.
Even these flat images you're watching now still look great. If you're not a fan of VR, or worse, if you've never really spent any appreciable amount of time in a VR headset, you'll probably not get it. And it kinda leaves me to wonder why you'd still be watching, but yeah. This game is just all around beautiful. A thumbs up to Pixel Toys for going the extra mile.
How does that feel? To know that ultimately everything you do here is futile.
They didn't stop at story and visuals either. The sound is so good in Battle Sister. As expected, the voice acting in Warhammer games is top tier. Overly poetic dialogues and monologues, yes, but I'd have it no other way. I loved the way these guys spoke in Age of Sigmar, and I do so appreciate it here. The voice actors are clearly A-list or A-list worthy, and though there is a lot of repetition on the one-liners on both sides, hearing these guys say things like more blood and unclean filth just never got old. The sound effects follow suit. So does the score, ambiance sounds, and everything else in the sound department. Let me make this clear. Every aspect of this game helped pull me deeper into a sense of immersion. The story, the visuals, the sound. It's rare that I find a game that hooks me like this. A game that makes me not want to stop playing. A game that I wake up looking forward to completing.
You will fail, Calidorus.
Psychic blast. It leveled me. I thought I was stronger.
Something happened while I was capturing gameplay for this video. Two things actually. First, Battle Sister does this strange thing. And take this as a warning, because it can be downright catastrophic if you do not exit your game properly. If you do not exit by using the in-game exit feature. If you simply use the quest's exit feature, you will lose your save and have to start from the beginning. Now, it would be great if someone says otherwise, and this ends up just being a one-off thing that only happened to me, but as far as I know, this is how it goes. I exited using the quest's exit option, and all my saved data was gone. I had to start a new game. Then, while capturing, I ran out of storage space. The game crashed, and I had to once again start a new game. Now, I'm telling you this not only as a warning, but also as a prime example of how much I loved playing Battle Sister. I abhor doing things over, turning back and so on, and the fact that this game was not given to me by the publisher or developer, I had no obligations to fulfill. I could have just said to hell with it and cancelled this review, but I restarted twice and kept going till the end. This speaks volumes of the respect I have for this game.
I am honored to fight here with you.
And I know others who have played it and gave it a low score are probably wondering what the hell have I been smoking, but I assure you, I'm wondering the same about you. This game is amazing.
Is that so?
On to gameplay. This is where I assume things got divisive. Don't get me wrong, I loved the mechanics here, but I can also see why others got a bit pissed with it. On startup, you're presented with a decent amount of options. I wish save slots were one of them, but whatever at this point. I've built a bridge and got over that. You've got various comfort settings, from click turning, teleportation, and all the other immersion-breaking madness I happily live without. I could be puking through my pores. I would never choose snap turning or teleportation over smooth locomotion and turning. But it's there if that's what you require.
Emperor of mankind.
While playing, you have the choice to do more technical and what has now become the standard in VR first-person shooters. Reloading, where you can go through the realistic motions of reloading. or you can opt for a more convenient reload by simply ejecting the mag and placing your weapon to your waist for an automatic reload. I appreciate the option, as sometimes I really do love the immersive feel of taking a clip from my ammo belt and inserting it. But sometimes when the going gets rough, I like a quick reload as well. So both worked for me. Same goes for the grenades. You can pull the pin and throw, or you can press a button to pull the pin, which works great for one-handed situations. Also, this is the first VR first-person shooter I've played where the devs got throwing right. I always thought I was doing something horribly wrong why I could never throw a grenade or anything properly in VR when I did it in Contractors or even Viking Days. But now I'm beginning to think it's the game's fault, as I threw grenades in Battle Sister with great ease and relative precision. Not sure what that's about. Picking up items is a mixed bag. When it works great, but when it doesn't, it can be infuriating. You can reach out and grab items, or you can go the telekinesis route, but neither gave me 100% consistency, especially the telekinesis. This led to a lot of fumbling about, and when this happened, in the heat of battle, well, let's just say some unsavory words were used. Yeah. Game structure here in Battle Sister was nothing like Tempest Fall. The levels were quite linear, but this is no complaint. I'm not one of those who are completely programmed to like only open world games. I quite love a linear experience actually, once it's well designed. And well designed is written all over Battle Sister, so the path of a straight and a narrow was appreciated here. I don't always want to go on a quest.
Move to the next area.
And as I mentioned quests, there are no puzzles to solve. Another sigh of relief from me and another breath of fresh air. There were like a few points where I didn't know where to go or what to do, and when these occurred, they didn't last long at all. No puzzles to figure out. You may stumble upon the occasional note to read, but this has no bearing on the actual game itself. An odd design choice I noticed. You can't sprint, not even a weak-ass Call of Duty style sprint. There's really no running or sprinting here. Your allies, the enemies, they're running about like Usain Bolt, but you're relegated to a dash. This was not cool. There were times where I wanted to move faster, but couldn't, especially when I had to replay the game twice like I mentioned earlier. But instead of allowing this mighty female warrior to move quickly, I was forced to watch the great Ophelia take her sweet time strolling about the levels. Oh well.
That is little business of yours.
The AI. Well, most will never agree with me on this take I have regarding enemy AI, but these guys aren't too smart. But I like that. If my enemy wants to be cannon fodder, then let them have at it. Have a gay old time with that. Makes my job easier. Your squad. Well, they can prove quite useful many times, but if you take a break and pay close attention to their actions on the battlefield, well, you'll see that they aren't the sharpest tools either. But they are helpful regardless.
There are too many of them.
Keep your ice runs, your bolts are blazing, and they will fall to righteousness.
There have been times where I got overwhelmed, low on ammo, and needed to lay back and let them do the heavy lifting, and they did so well enough, especially when this big guy showed up.
Come, join me at the breach.
On the subject of being overwhelmed, let me talk overall difficulty. Some may say Battle Sister is easy. I would prefer to call it balanced. A lovely balance. Sometimes I suspect developers deliberately make VR games a little less hard, for lack of a better term. And I like this. To be stressed out under that heating chunk of plastic makes for some frustrating times. So I loved the balance here. To be honest, sometimes I felt downright overpowered, but that's how it should be. The Battle Sisters aren't given that title for nothing. So to be a tough mama ain't hard to fathom.
We should all meet back at the armory. Let's purge this place and locate some bombs.
Your friend has a fair zeal for battle. Reminds me of my younger, more foolish days.
Then we better do what she says, Julius.
This doesn't mean Battle Sisters was a cakewalk though. It had its moments, and not everyone will be able to breeze through it. I mean, I have been gaming for literally decades, longer than a lot of you watching have been on Earth, so I'm kinda good at this. But should you find yourself in a few tricky spots, take this advice. Although Battle Sister is primarily an action game, do not try to play it like it's Serious Sam. Strategize. Learn the mechanics, as things like aiming here feels a bit off. It feels like this is one VR game that could really use a crosshair. Now, similar to Age of Sigmar, you're not sent out with physical weapons alone. You got these faith abilities.
Rosa, there are heretic marines here. Be careful. They're not as easily dealt with as mindless cultists.
Abilities you gain from acquiring these rosary-looking things you wear on your wrists, called a Rosarius.
Violus Rosarius.
They give you the power of push, shield, and time slow. And once you've become acclimated with switching between your guns, these faith abilities, and your melee weapons, you'll be cutting through the unclean filth with relative ease. Yeah, I said melee weapons. You got your sword, which all by itself is pretty badass. You can get this chainsaw sword, and at one point I had to be dicking about with one of the enemy's lame axe-type weapons.
Better than nothing.
But all the melee weapons hit real hard, so I go back to strategy. Figure out how to seamlessly switch between magic-like abilities, your guns, and your melee weapons, and you'll be an unstoppable force in no time. I love the rewarding feeling that comes with this acquired skill set. And, if faced with hardship, for most part, you're treated with a generous checkpoint system.
Look at this place!
I also loved the gore here. Similar to graphic language in games and movies, I love me some high-quality gore. Not so much gratuitous gore. But hey, if you get shot in the head by weapons like these, your skull popping like a ripe breadfruit ain't hard to believe, and I really appreciate that. Pixel Toys blessed us as well with variety. Level variety was good. I looked forward after completing a level to see what they would come up with next. Enemy variety. Also well done. I'm not saying you had 100 different enemy types coming at you, but it was good enough for me. So was the weapon variety. We didn't have the standard submachine gun, shotgun, sniper rifle setup, which there's really nothing wrong with that. But it's not the layout given here. But I was good with what I got. There was this disposable gun later down the line that I could have done without. And like I said earlier, I could have used crosshairs, which in VR translates to scoped weapons. There was none of that, and iron sights did not cut the butter for me. But I still stand by what I said. The variety worked well for me. Even the handful of bosses that I faced had variety. No copy and paste the jobs here. The boss fights here are some of the best I've experienced in VR actually. You'll have 3 to contend with, and much like the rest of the game, they're well balanced. Remember, if you're not new here, I really don't like boss fights. But these I could live with. And like I said in a Wolfenstein review some time ago, here in Battle Sister, they didn't go with the hard, harder, hardest cliche. The final boss wasn't necessarily harder than the first 2. Once you figured out the weakness, it was a pushover. Done in under a minute, I think.
Now feel the cleansing bite of his righteous hand.
Battle Sister grabbed me with what I'll call unapologetically an epic single-player campaign. But after you have plowed through it and the credits roll, you can pat yourself on the back for a job well done and hop on over to the recently added multiplayer Horde mode. How recent? I'm not sure, but it's still in development and was added post-launch. Here's where you can go at it in co-op or by your lonesome. It plays out much like any other Horde mode, but isn't really my thing. I spent no appreciable amount of time here to give you a definitive review on it. It seems good, and if that's your thing, then have at it. But what I would have really appreciated in the form of multiplayer would have been campaign co-op. Playing through most parts with my AI team was great. But if those guys were actual people, strategizing through voice chat, let's just say an already great game would have gone up even a few more notches. Just saying.
Well said.
That pretty much wraps up my thoughts on this AAA quality indie game by Pixel Toys. Great job, guys. So far, I'm down to 2 Warhammer games, both in VR and both pretty good. This makes me want to go check out Chaos Gate, as this little indie gem named Rise of Humanity has sparked my interest in turn-based strategy games, so who knows. Like I always say, this is my review, but it's your choice. If you like what you saw here and haven't yet grabbed this bad boy, go check it out on the Quest or PC. I'll leave a link in the description.
I cannot wait.
Thank you for watching. If you like my content, feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Let's say I found a way to piss you off with this one though. Then hey, feel free to strike those hate buttons with the wrath of the Emperor of Mankind and keep it moving. Either way, I won't hold it against you. Our game is never over.
Only by decisive action and unshakable faith will mankind prevail.